Hi, my YouTube friends. I'm Heidi Villegas with Healing Harvest Homestead, and I thought that I would do a quick video here with you today and show you some St. John's wort that's growing wild in a field, and just share some of its benefits and uses with you and talk about harvesting. So here we go. And by the way, please subscribe to my channel. You'll find lots more do-it-yourself herbal and essential oil remedies and natural living topics. I'm out here this morning harvesting St. John's wort, and I just found a little bunch in this dry creek bed, and I thought I would go ahead and show you what it looks like, talk with you a little bit about its benefits and uses, and show you how to harvest it. Okay, so St. John's wort, and this is the species Hypericum perforatum. It has been used for literally thousands of years. They've even found literature based on Dioscorides' uses back in ancient Greek times about how he used it for sciatica and other nervous system problems, which is exactly how and why we use it today, which is really cool. Science has studied this plant over the ages, and so we kind of know why it works a little bit better now. Although the thing with scientific studies is it's very, very difficult for them to pull out single constituents and attribute the reason why a plant works just to that one constituent, because usually there's a lot of synergy involved with the actual chemicals in the plants. And that's really difficult for scientists to pick out. Personally, I like to say God made the plants. He made them perfectly, just like he made us. And that's why they work. So you don't need a lot of, I think science is good, don't get me wrong, but obviously after thousands of years of proven uses, I think we can pretty much safely say that St. John's wort is an excellent herb to use for a number of medicinal reasons. It's got a lot of folklore behind it too, magical powers and superstitions and things like that. It's kind of fun to research. As far as cultivating this plant, so this is a wild plant. They don't grow in thick stands usually. They're a little bit spread out, so you have to go hunt them down and gather them that way. But they're kind of a tallish, rangy plant. This plant's about 2 feet tall. They can grow up to 3 feet tall in really nice situations. Here we have had a really dry winter and a spring, so normally the plants in this section of Idaho where I'm at would be probably this much taller and a little more full. The plants are kind of suffering this year because of the lack of rain. So that's what it looks like. You can see that there's a main stem, and then there's smaller stems that come out from the main stem, and they're opposite each other. And then we've got little leaves that come out also opposite each other up along the stem. So that's one of the ways to identify it. But the main way to identify St. John's wort is, there's a couple things. If you're seeing it early in the spring before the flowers emerge, a lot of times the stems will have a reddish color to them, but not always. And the flowers, you see the flowers, this is the primary part that we use for medicine. And there's a little green beetle. They love St. John's wort. Get it off of there. But if you squeeze a bud, and here's a little bud right here, between your fingers, look at that. Oh my goodness, beautiful. What you're gonna get, see the purple on my finger? I don't know if you can see that, if we can hone in on that there. Anyway, there's a purple blotch on my finger, and that's caused by the liquid that's contained in some oil glands that are found on the leaves and also the petals of the flower and within the buds. And that oil is what's so special. It contains hypericin, is what causes the red color, but it also contains hyperforin. Now, back in the 90s, St. John's wort gained this incredible reputation as an herb for depression, and people misunderstand how herbs are used. So 60 Minutes, I think, or one of those news shows, did a talk on St. John's wort and how it's so helpful for depression. And literally overnight, people ran out to the herb shops and gathered up all the St. John's wort, thinking they could take it in place of their antidepressants, but it doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that at all. So there are some chemical actions in the bodies, and in our body, and there's some ways that it's metabolized, and due to the chemicals in there, yes, it can affect positively the way that the serotonin and the dopamine is lengthened in our bodies, so that it helps our minds, among other things. But the fact is St. John's wort is not like a drug that you're going to take that's immediately psychoactive. It's not like that. You need to use it consistently over a period of weeks for you to start feeling the effects and the benefits. It's a really helpful herb for seasonal affective disorder, which we call SAD. And that usually affects people who need the sunshine in the wintertime. Or if you're in a dark, cold environment and you're not getting enough sunshine, St. John's wort tincture and tea can really be helpful. It's wonderful for supporting all aspects of the nervous system, and that's why a lot of people, myself included in the past, when I had sciatica, will use it for nervous system issues like that as well. It's calming, it's also uplifting. It's just a wonderful plant, and I love to say that, look at those bright star-shaped flowers. It's like sunshine in a flower. So I just love this plant. We're going to go ahead and harvest these and St. John's wort, and when I get back to my kitchen area, I will show you how to process them. In terms of harvesting, I have to go get my pruners. I left them up there by the ATV, but basically what I do when I harvest is I cut off about the top, I'd say 7 to 9 inches, and then you can use the plant from that point on. I try to leave at least 2/3 of the stem, and I also try to not cut back. Like if we find a stand of St. John's wort, I never decimate an area. In fact, we try not to harvest more than, I don't know, less than half really of an area of St. John's wort. It readily self-seeds in the garden. So if you're cultivating it and you live in an area that has a cold winter, that has a certain number of hours of freezing, it does self-seed itself readily. It's actually hardy zones 3 through 9. It'll grow natively in those ranges. But in the warmer zones like 9, if you're not getting enough freezing hours in the wintertime, it won't self-seed as well. So you might need to treat it like an annual in that case. But otherwise, you can cultivate this plant, and it's a very good idea to, instead of gathering it in the wild. I'm working on that right now at our place with our herbs. It also just grows naturally where we're at. But again, when you have a year like we had this year with no rain in the wintertime and the early spring, our St. John's is just kind of petering along. So here we are out in this very, very lush little creek bed where we found enormous stands of St. John's wort. So here's where we're picking. Again, we're not picking that much, just enough for what we need, and we're going to call it good this year. All right. So if you have St. John's wort near you, you might want to go gather a couple bunches of it and make a few quarts of tincture or infused oil. In fact, I didn't talk with you about preparations. Let me just do that really fast. So St. John's wort can be decocted or infused as a tea. I like to use the dried herb, although you can also use the fresh. I also like to make it into a tincture, and I usually will make, usually a quart gets us through a winter, but sometimes people will want some as well. So I usually make a couple of quarts of it, and I can give some away to people. But the best thing to do with your St. John's wort is the infused oil. If you can gather it fresh like this, so you've got access to the fresh flowers, which, as I just showed you, give you that beautiful red-purple oil on your fingers, then what you're going to get in your infused oil is the most incredible beautiful red color, and that's due to the chemical in it. That is the strongest St. John's wort medicine for topical use, is made from the fresh flower. You can still make your infused oil from dried herbs, the dried portion of the plant, but it's not going to be as powerful. So just be aware of that. It's certainly still useful, so don't think you can't use the dried herb. You can still do that, but the fresh herb is best. So with all that said, if you find that you want to make some herbal preparations with this amazing plant that I just love, it's my favorite summertime flower, besides calendula, I love them both, then you can reach out to me and ask what to do. All right, I'm Heidi Villegas of Healing Harvest Homestead, as you know, and I hope you're enjoying this quick little lesson on St. John's wort.